It's happening. Jimmy Kimmel has been muzzled.
So I've been seeing a lot of people reacting to the news of Jimmy Kimmel's suspension or Stephen Colbert being canceled, and they're pouncing to the opportunity that this is somehow an attack on free speech. And as someone that is genuinely principled on free speech, that it should be allowed for everybody to express an opinion, here's where I differ on the subject. So here's the major headline here from CNBC. ABC is pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off air indefinitely over comments he made about Charlie Kirk. Now, as I've stated this before, people are allowed to have differing opinions on Charlie Kirk. I know I have, I know other people have. But the insanity that we're witnessing right now, where some people are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and other people are declaring a civil war in his name, is just gone out of control. And it's kind of ironic that the people that are sowing the most division into our society are the same people telling us and lecturing us to tone it down. So I'm going to read to people the statement that I made in regards to Jimmy Kimmel's suspension and also regarding free speech as a whole. And mind you, this is retweeting on top of a Jimmy Kimmel clip that went after Tucker Carlson after he was fired on Fox News. So I said, on a principled stance, freedom of speech allows for critics, disgusting, even vile speech under constitutional right. Making direct threats of violence at someone is already illegal under criminal law. And that is not just me saying that, that was even Charlie Kirk saying that himself. That the purpose of the First Amendment is protecting everyone's right to speech, regardless of how you feel about it. On the other hand, Jimmy Kimmel's dismissal doesn't shock me considering the landscape of dying late-night comedy structure. Kimmel made it clear he was not a unifier with comedy, he was a hyper-partisan hack for the Democrats and the corporate agenda of whom he's backed behind. I mean, you all remember when Jimmy Kimmel fake cried after the election, or told unvaccinated people that they couldn't get hospital service, or just demonizing half the country that doesn't agree with them. So I said ABC is a private corporation where television is a business. While I do not know the exact number of Kimmel's viewership, having swung a specific rhetoric to demonize half the country not only diminishes possible viewers, but is also one of the many reasons society has become so divided. Do I believe a part of ABC and CBS's payments to Trump may have been more to do with bribing him to keep their media machines running than correcting their mistakes? Absolutely. I don't believe those multi-million-dollar payments were just because they made a lie about Trump. There was definitely something more to that picture. However, freedom of speech does not grant people the magic to villainize everybody who disagrees with you. That is not how society functions. That is not how human beings survived all these years. The only way we can actually be a tolerant civil society is not by hate or silence, but by having rational conversations and keeping a level head about it. And I want people to remember that, because that is key, ladies and gentlemen. Keeping a level head. That means if someone has a different viewpoint or a different way of thinking, or they criticize you, we don't hyperventilate and go into anger mode. That as civilians, as a civil society, we accept that they have a different viewpoint. We may not agree with them, but we have to accept and acknowledge that they have a different stance. And I further explain this, it does not mean everyone needs to be forced together and sing Kumbaya. It does mean that people need to think and be rational before making statements like Kimmel's. People tend to jump to quick reactions and judgments without making a rational argument for their case. And this happens more and more due to the rise of social media and what I deem the clickbait culture. And it's actually one of the things that completely disgusts me about influencer culture. And I know that seems counterintuitive to what I do, but I'm not doing this for instant likes and gratification. If we continue to further this divide, it not only affects the country, but human civilization itself. The strides we've made in history is not because of continuing rage-baiting shouting, but from mutual understanding, compassion, and basic civility. You can agree or disagree on Kimmel or Colbert's firing, but I know that they are going to survive without network shows. Most celebrities are jumping onto the podcast wagon anyway, because it's the new medium. They're going to be fine. I don't feel sad for Kimmel or Colbert because their companies fired them. I do feel sad for the direction of freedom of speech, civil engagement, and the future of human society is heading towards. That indeed is the darkness that is coming about. We need to understand this and come together on this vital issue, or the future of humanity may be further jeopardized. And again, people are allowed to have their statements about Colbert's cancellation or Jimmy Kimmel being fired off of ABC, but you're leaving out the bigger picture. Because right now, freedom of speech is under attack. And it's not because of celebrities, it's not because of Trump, it's not because of the presidency, it's because civilization is waking up. They are awakened to the system that has epitomized them for many years. They are awakened to the lies and to the deceit that our institutions constantly give us. People are awakened to the fact that these representatives are lying right to your face and almost giggling about it. They're awakened to the left versus right dichotomy that is completely manufactured. And the establishment, the elites, the governments, the globalists, the corporations, the multinational entities have to put a stop to it. Censorship is one of the longest battles we have ever had as a species. That this has always been a top-down issue, not a left versus right. You look at the dark periods of human civilization throughout history. You look at kingdoms, you look at empires, you look at the clergy, you look at the church, you look at the nobles, you look at the kings, you look at the queens. How they manufactured these lies and propaganda to purposely keep us divided while hiding critical information about them. Because they cannot have an informed populace. And this goes on for eons. And it's not just Trump that's doing this. Joe Biden tried to do this in his administration. And Barack Obama, and the Bush, and Clinton, and all the other administration. It's also happening outside of America. Look at Canada, look at the UK, look at Australia, look at the European nations. This is a coordinated effort of the ruling class further demising us peasants. And people going ballistic at each other's throats, making this a left versus right issue, is feeding into that playbook. A lot of the reactions that I saw after Charlie Kirk's death did not seem organic. That people were sucked into this narrative that we were attacking each other, that we have to go after the left, or the left have to go after the right. And given the space that we're in, that we're introducing this new digitized industrial revolution where everything's going to be AI incorporated, also adds into this. The billionaire class wants us divided. They want society to collapse. And while society is collapsing, divided, and on fire, that's where the billionaires come in to remold society into their perfect image. Where you're going to be introduced to a digital credit score, where AI is going to take the very essence of human existence. Where they're going to start looking at you as useless eaters. And that's already happening, folks. So, Marc Maron and any other of these celebrities, when they do a standing ovation at the Emmys for Stephen Colbert, they could say what they want. That's freedom of speech, folks. But I also argue that they're leaving a huge portion of the greater picture that is the real problematic situation when it comes to attacking free speech. Again, this is not left versus right, this is top versus down. That human civilization will not survive if we don't recognize this and deal with it. Have your rational conversations, keep level-headed, folks, and do not fall into their traps.